You're back with the Commerce website and the consumer decisions section down the left hand side here. We've all done pretty much all of this stuff here, but where we're up to here is this worksheet here on consumer decisions. So what I'd firstly like you to do is to go down the bottom here, click on this link and open up that document, and you can also download that document and put it into your folder for consumer choice, your consumer choice folder in your Google Drive. And then there are some activities for you to do there from the commerce.com textbook, and you can do the answers to that in your consumer choice file, either your presentation or your doc that you're doing where you're doing all your work. So this is where you can answer these questions. Now, most of these questions after reading that information should be pretty straightforward, but I would just draw your attention to the last one here where it says using the A3 paper and colouring aids provided to you by your teacher. I won't be doing that. So what I would suggest you do there is, instead of doing an A3 paper, etc., I think you can just do that as a slide in your presentation, in your consumer choice presentation. So it should just be pretty straightforward. The information there should fit on one slide, so that should be okay. Going back down, after you finish that, what I would like you to do is I'd like you to have a look at these, and I do want you to set up a table in your file, your consumer choice doc or presentation, and I want you to put the headings in the table: name, image, description, and advantages. One thing that is left off here though is disadvantages, which I think would be worthwhile for you to put in your table as well. So you'll have 5 columns. You can add each of these as rows moving acrosswards, and just say find an image of a corner store, a description of what a corner store sells, what are the advantages of a corner store, and then also you'll have a column for the disadvantages of a general store as well. You may notice, as I do as I'm reading this, is that there is something missing here. Perhaps this teaching activity was designed a few years ago, and I noticed that there is something that I would use on almost a weekly basis to purchase things, and I don't necessarily buy a lot of stuff, but there is one thing that's not included in this list which would be very, very, very commonly used these days. So perhaps you might have a think about what that is, and then you might also think about the significant advantages and disadvantages of using that method of buying goods, or a place to buy goods. And I put place in inverted commas because it might be more of a virtual place. Another thing that I might get you to do with that too is that once you've finished doing that table, I think it'd be a good idea for you to have a look at, pick out a few products. And I guess if I was to suggest a few products that you could pick, I'd start off with something like a 2-litre carton of milk. And I would go through and have a look at these stores and see which ones sold that product. For example, you can buy milk at a general store, you can buy it at a supermarket, probably the rest you're struggling with. But then what you might do is you might talk about the advantage and disadvantages of buying 2 litres of milk at those 2 different options. And obviously in this case here, a general store, as I've outlined in my last video, it's going to be more expensive. Supermarkets, you can pretty much get milk for about $1 a litre, so a 2-litre bottle of milk is about $2. At my local general store, I think they're going for about $4 or $5. So it's double, maybe even more than that, which is a significant disadvantage. But sometimes I just don't want to go to the supermarket, and it's much easier for me just to go to the general store. So you can see there that there are significant advantages and disadvantages. In fact, probably on some occasions it would cost me the extra money that I would have to pay in petrol to go to the supermarket and back. So I would actually be, probably not really saving that much money anyway. The supermarket becomes more advantageous for me if I have a large shop to do. If I've got to buy a lot of things, then it is definitely worthwhile because I can probably get things cheaper. So what you might do is think about a product like milk, and then you might have a think about some other products like clothes. Think about buying a shirt, for example, and how what are the advantages and disadvantages of buying it at a department store or a discount store or whatever else it might be, a shopping centre or whatever, online as well. And then what you might also do is then do a bit of a comparison about thinking about buying something more expensive. Maybe you could move on to think about buying a pair of shoes, and the different, as I said, you're not going to be able to buy these. You're not going to be able to buy a pair of shoes at all of these options. But the ones where you can buy a pair of shoes, what are the advantages and disadvantages of buying there? What are the advantages and disadvantages of buying a pair of shoes online versus buying them at a Nike factory outlet or a whatever brand factory outlet, or buying them at Athlete's Foot or whatever. There are advantages and disadvantages there. And you might even go on and find out how much those things would cost at those different places. Like, for example, if you went to some sort of online, if you went to Nike.com, you want to buy a pair of shoes, how much are they going to cost you there? How much are they going to cost you at a department store? You can go and have a look at, like, for example, Myer or David Jones, or there are even online department stores as well that you might search for. And then you could have a look at Athlete's Foot and stores like that and have a look at the differences. And you also need to think about the service that you're going to get at those different places as well. So, and then you might move on to buying something bigger, like, for example, a gaming system. Where are the places where you can buy a gaming system? What are the advantages and disadvantages of buying at each of those stores? So I think there's 4 things there. We've got milk, we've got a t-shirt, we've got some shoes, and then we've got a gaming system. And for you to go through and have a look at you might create another table where you've got the product coming down the side here, and you might have a list of the different places where you could buy it and the advantages and disadvantages of each as well. So that would be the next activity to do there. And then there is also down the bottom here this little bit about buying Australian made. There's a video here to watch if you click on that. I think you should go down the bottom here and download that and save that into your Google Drive. And then there's a few bits of information here about why people should be buying Australian made, or what are the advantages and disadvantages there. And then what we want you to do is to do finish off those questions there where the advantages and disadvantages of buying Australian made. And then we might actually give this last bit here a miss. I wouldn't worry about that too much. About creating a Google Slides presentation to persuade people to buy Australian made, we might just leave that for the moment. I think you will do that in the advantages and disadvantages here anyway. So that's pretty much it for today. I probably will be travelling while your class is on, so I won't be able to give you any feedback in real time. But if you wanted to email me if you have any questions or anything you're not sure of, if you need some help with anything, just email me and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. I would expect, my expectation would be, is that you do the worksheet here on consumer decisions during today's lesson. Also this comparison here, and also the bit about buying those 4 different products. And then I would expect that you would also get into this bit about the Australian made, remembering that you don't have to do question 3 here. And whatever you don't complete today during class time would be for homework. Yeah, so that's it for today. Have a good lesson, and I will see you, I think I will see you on Friday for our next class. So just remembering, we will miss our class next Tuesday due to the Ash Wednesday Mass next Wednesday, I think it is, Ash Wednesday maths practice as well. All right, thanks guys, and